The room is hushed, the air thick with the unspoken weight of love's questions. A hand pauses, fingers curling inward, as if to cradle a racing heart. Eyes flicker, meeting then drifting, seeking balance in the tender chaos of romance. What is this discipline, this quiet strength that men and women summon in the dance of love? Is it a barrier, a guide, or something softer, etched in the curve of a shoulder, the stillness of a breath? This isn't a question that demands a roar. It's a whisper, carried in the tilt of a head, the gentle clasp of hands, a call to pause, to feel the psyche's silent pulse. Carl Jung, the sage who saw the soul as a canvas of light and shadow, would say discipline in love is no mere rule. It's a thread in the weave of becoming, a path to wholeness traced through every glance, every gesture. For men and women alike, self-discipline is not just control, it's a will to grow, to balance passion with truth, to love without losing the self. So, let's sit with these questions, feel the weight of a held breath, and let this tale unfold, slow and gentle, like a story meant to ease you into sleep. What is discipline in love, and how does it speak through the body's silent language? Have you ever caught yourself biting back a word, your lips pressed tight to let love find its rhythm? Or stood tall, shoulders squared, to guard your heart's truth? Discipline in love is a dance of the body, a quiet symphony of gestures that men and women weave, each pause a choice, each movement a step toward wholeness. Jung would ask, his voice soft, what is discipline truly? Is it suppression, or is it creation, a sculpting of the self through love's fire? Jung saw the psyche as a vast tapestry, its surface the conscious ego, the I that greets the world. Beneath lies the personal unconscious, a shadow of buried fears and desires. Deeper still flows the collective unconscious, a sea of archetypes, the lover, the hero, the shadow, that shape every soul. Discipline in love is not mere restraint, it's a stroke on this tapestry, guided by the shadow, the hidden part where impulses, doubts, and needs reside. When a man's jaw tightens, resisting the urge to demand answers, or a woman's hands still, choosing silence over a plea, they're not just holding back. They're seeking individuation. Jung's term for the journey to integrate the conscious and unconscious, to become whole. Picture a moment. A man's fingers unclench, his gaze softening as he lets an argument fade. A woman's posture eases, her eyes steady as she resists the urge to fill a silence. These gestures are discipline, Jung would say. Not walls but bridges to the self, the archetype of wholeness. But discipline is a delicate art. It can steady the heart or bind it if mistaken for repression. Have you ever held yourself still, only to wonder if you've hidden too much? Both men and women have, and it's their challenge, their gift to master this dance. Why do we love? Why do we choose to stay, to grow, to face the heart's wild tides? Envision a couple, their bodies telling a story of discipline. His arms uncross, shoulders relaxing as he lets a heated moment pass. Her hands rest, fingers loose as she chooses to hear rather than speak. This is the listener, the first pattern of self-discipline in love, a shared act for men and women. Jung taught that love mirrors the psyche, reflecting its light and shadow. The listener disciplines the body to hear, not just the partner's words, but the self's inner voice, the urge to fix, to dominate, to escape. A man might tilt his head, brow softening, resisting the impulse to interrupt with answers. A woman might rest her chin in her hand, lips closed, holding back a rush of reassurance. These gestures honor the shadow, the part that fears being unheard, that craves control. In the archetypes and the collective unconscious, Jung wrote of the self as the guide to balance. The listener's discipline is this path, loving without losing the soul. But this discipline has pitfalls. A man's silence can become avoidance, his eyes averted too long, fearing conflict. A woman's quiet can turn to suppression, her hands clenched, hiding her truth. Jung warned of the complex, a knot of emotions that grips the psyche. A complex of rejection might make silence a shield, turning discipline into distance. Have you ever listened so long you forgot your voice? Both genders have, and the body betrays their struggle, his stiff posture, her tightened lips. To wield this discipline, one could pause, Jung would suggest, feeling the weight of their breath. Ask, why do I stay silent? Is it to love or to hide? Write it down. I held back today, fearing they'd turn away. Choose moments to speak, balancing listening with truth, letting love grow through openness. The body softens, shoulders easing, as if to say, listen, but let your heart speak too. Picture a scene. A man's feet shift, grounding himself, as he says no to a demand that pulls him from his core. A woman's spine straightens, her gaze steady as she sets a boundary, choosing herself. This is the guardian, the second pattern of self-discipline in love, the universal strength for men and women. Jung saw boundaries as acts of self-awareness, the dialogue with the shadow. The guardian disciplines the body to stand firm, not in anger, but in clarity. A woman might cross her arms, not in defense but in resolve, refusing to overgive. A man might plant his hands on his hips, his voice calm, declining to chase approval. These gestures are discipline, Jung would say, not rejection, but affirmation of the self. In Psychological Types, Jung wrote of individuation as a balance of opposites, passion and restraint, giving and keeping. The guardian's discipline is this balance, loving fully while holding the self intact. But the guardian can falter. A man's rigid stance may become defiance, his eyes hard, masking a complex of inadequacy. A woman's closed posture can turn cold, her silence sharp, hiding a fear of loss. Jung's complex, perhaps one of abandonment, can twist discipline into isolation, love into a battlefield. Have you ever set a boundary only to fear it pushed love away? Both have, and the body tells the tale, his clenched jaw, her averted gaze. To embody this discipline, one could breathe, Jung would suggest, feeling the heart's steady beat. Ask, why do I stand firm? Is it strength or fear? Reflect, I said no today, but it felt like anger, not clarity. Choose boundaries that honor both self and other, a gentle no paired with an open hand. The body relaxes, arms unfolding as if to say, guard your heart, but let love in. Envision a moment. A woman's hands pause, fingers still, resisting the urge to cling to a fading moment. A man's eyes close briefly, his breath slowing, letting go of a need to control. This is the releaser, the third pattern of self-discipline in love, a shared act of courage. Jung taught that love tests the ego, stirring the shadow's deepest fears, loss, rejection, unworthiness. The releaser disciplines the body to let go, not of love, but of the need to possess it. A man might unclench his fists, palms opening, allowing his partner space to grow. A woman might lift her chin, her shoulders easing, releasing the urge to demand reassurance. These gestures are discipline, Jung would say, a dance with the anima, for men, or animus, for women. The inner archetypes of connection and strength. In Ion, Jung wrote of the self as a center that holds opposites. The releaser's discipline is this center, loving freely while embracing freedom. But release can stumble. A woman's open hands can mask resignation, her eyes dull, hiding a complex of unworthiness. A man's relaxed posture can hide avoidance, his gaze distant, fearing vulnerability. Jung's complex, perhaps one of betrayal, can make letting go a surrender, not a choice. Have you ever let go, only to feel you've lost yourself? Both have, and the body whispers their pain, her slumped shoulders, his tight smile. To wield this discipline, one could pause, Jung would suggest, feeling the rise of their chest. Ask, why do I release? Is it freedom or fear? Right, I let go today, but it felt like giving up. Choose to release with intention, an open palm paired with a steady gaze, building love through trust. The body softens, hands resting, as if to say, release, but hold your truth. Imagine a couple. A man's head tilts, his eyes searching, as he shares a hidden fear. A woman's hands unclasp, her voice steady, as she speaks her truth. This is the revealer, the fourth pattern of self-discipline in love, a shared act of vulnerability. Jung saw love as a crucible, forging the psyche through truth. The revealer disciplines the body to open, not recklessly, but with purpose, facing the shadow's fear of judgment. A woman might square her shoulders, her breath deep, as she admits a doubt. A man might lean forward, his hands still, as he confesses a need. These gestures are discipline, Jung would say, a dialogue with the anima or animus, balancing vulnerability with strength. In The Structure and Dynamics of the Psyche, Jung wrote of individuation as a path to authenticity. The revealer's discipline is this path, loving through truth without dissolving the self. But revelation can falter. A man's open posture can hide desperation, his eyes pleading, driven by a complex of shame. A woman's steady voice can mask fear, her hands trembling, fearing rejection. Jung's complex, perhaps one of inferiority, can turn truth into a plea, not a gift. Have you ever shared your heart only to fear it was too much? Both have, and the body betrays their doubt, his hunched shoulders, her bitten lip. To embody this discipline, one could breathe, Jung would suggest, feeling the warmth of their hands. Ask, why do I reveal? Is it truth or need? Reflect, I spoke today, but it felt like begging. Choose to share with clarity, a steady gaze paired with a calm voice, building love through courage. The body opens, eyes softening, as if to say, reveal, but stand tall. Picture a moment. A woman's arms relax, her smile gentle as she chooses love over anger. A man's hands rest, his voice soft, as he forgives a slight. This is the builder, the fifth pattern of self-discipline in love, the universal act of creation. Jung taught that love is a journey, a path to the self through choice. The builder disciplines the body to create, not just moments, but a bond that endures. A man might nod, his eyes warm, choosing patience over pride. A woman might touch her partner's hand, her grip steady, choosing trust over doubt. These gestures are discipline, Jung would say, a dance with the self, weaving passion and purpose. In Symbols of Transformation, Jung wrote of love as a transformative force. The builder's discipline is this force, loving through acts that shape wholeness. But building can break. A woman's gentle touch can hide fear, her smile forced, driven by a complex of loss. A man's patience can mask avoidance, his nod empty, fearing conflict. Jung's complex, perhaps one of betrayal, can turn creation into sacrifice, love into duty. Have you ever built love, only to feel it cost your soul? Both have, and the body tells their story. Her tight smile, his distant eyes. To wield this discipline, one could pause, Jung would suggest, feeling the ground beneath their feet. Ask, what am I building? Is it love or a mask? Right, I chose kindness today, but it felt like losing myself. Choose acts that affirm both self and other, a warm touch paired with an honest word, creating love through truth. The body steadies, hands open, as if to say, build, but keep your heart whole. The air grows still, the weight of love's questions settling like dust. A hand rests, fingers loose, no longer clenched. Eyes soften, meeting the world with quiet strength. Jung's wisdom, like a gentle hum, lights the way. Discipline in love, the listener, the guardian, the releaser, the revealer, the builder, is not a chain or a shield. It's a dance, a will to grow, to love without losing the self. For men and women, it's the body's language, pauses, gestures, choices, that carves the path to individuation, to the self. Jung would say discipline is a mirror, reflecting the psyche's light and shadow. In love, it's the choice to stand firm, to let go, to speak, to create. Each gesture, a step toward wholeness. The eternal recurrence of love's moments asks, live this love as if it will return forever. Each choice a mark of your truth. Have you ever loved and felt your soul expand? Both men and women have. And it's a discipline they're learning to embrace. Why do you love? What discipline do you hold? This journey asks us to look within, to see our strength not as control but as creation, not as loss but as growth. When you choose yourself, when you love truly, when you build boldly, everything changes. The world may call you too much, too quiet, too strong, but Jung would smile and say, you are enough. As you hear this tale, let your breath slow, your eyes grow heavy. The questions fade, the body stills, and Jung's words drift like a good dream. What is your discipline? What will you create? Sleep, knowing your heart is yours to shape, your love yours to guard. Good night. The night is a velvet cloak, wrapped around a world that breathes and whispers. A crescent moon floats above, spilling silver threads across a river that hums with secrets. Its waters, weaving tales of love and longing. Clara stands by its edge, her breath soft as a sigh, her heart a quiet pulse. She thinks of love, of Daniel, the man whose laughter fills her days, of the dance they share, of the power that stirs beneath her touch. What is this power, she wonders, that women hold in love? Is it a gift, a weight, or something deeper, a spark that burns in the core of her being? This isn't a question that demands a roar. It's a murmur, like the wind kissing the river's surface, a call to pause, to sink into the heart's quiet depths. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who saw life as a flame of will and creation, would say Clara's power is no fleeting thing. It's a thread in the eternal weave of human desire. A pulse of strength that shapes the world. In love, a woman's power is not mere charm or guile. It's a force, a will to affirm, to create, to become. So let's walk with Clara along this river, under the moon's gentle glow, and let this tale unfold, slow and soft, like a lullaby meant to cradle you into sleep. What is her power, and how does it shimmer in the stillness of love? Had you ever felt a strength you couldn't name, a quiet force that flows through you, moving the world without a sound? Clara feels it now, her feet rooted by the river, the moonlight tracing her form like a verse. She thinks of Daniel, of the way his voice softens when she speaks, the way her glance can shift the air between them. The world might call her power seduction, a fleeting spell, but Nietzsche would lean close, his voice a whisper, and ask, what is power, truly? Is it dominance, or is it creation, a will to shape life itself? Nietzsche in Beyond Good and Evil saw life as a dance of the will to power, a primal urge that drives every soul to assert itself, to create, to overcome. For Clara, in love, this will is her breath, her touch, her choice to give or hold back. It's the way she crafts the space between her and Daniel, the way her presence commands, without shouting. Nietzsche would say her power is not a game of beauty or a trick of the heart. It's her will to power, her drive to affirm her existence, to make her love a living art. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he spoke of the Übermensch, the one who transcends the ordinary, who creates values in a world without gods. Clara, in her love, is no pawn or queen. She is a creator, painting her relationship with Daniel in strokes of will, passion, and truth. Picture the river, its waters catching the moon's light, rippling like a dream. Clara's power is not a crown she wears or a chain she binds. It's a quiet strength, rooted in her ability to choose. Choose when to open her soul, when to pull back, when to let silence speak. But this power, Nietzsche would warn, is a flame that can warm or burn. It can light her path or consume her if she wields it without care. Have you ever held a power you didn't fully grasp? Clara has, and it's both her gift and her riddle. Nietzsche would say her power flows from her will, but it's shaped by her choices, choices to affirm herself, to love boldly, to stand as herself in love's tender dance. Let's drift deeper into the patterns of this power and see how they unfold under the stars. Why do we love? Why do we pour ourselves into another, knowing the joy, the pain, the risk? Clara's thoughts swirl, the rivers hum a gentle guide. She remembers a night with Daniel, his eyes bright as he spoke of his dreams, her words weaving through his, her laughter a bridge between them. There's a power here, one the world might call feminine charm, but Nietzsche would call it something greater. The shaper, the first pattern of a woman's power in love. Nietzsche argued that power is not force, but influence, the ability to move the world without breaking it. Clara, as the shaper, molds the emotional landscape of her love. When she listens to Daniel's hopes, when she offers a touch that eases his doubts, she's not just comforting, she's creating. Her presence is a force, a will that draws him closer, that makes him want to rise, to meet her in the space she's carved. This is power, Nietzsche would say, not in controlling Daniel, but in inspiring him to affirm his own will, to create alongside her. In The Gay Science, Nietzsche wrote of life as an experiment, a canvas for the bold. Clara's love is her experiment, her art, her will to shape a bond that lifts them both. But this power has shadows. Clara feels it sometimes, when her shaping becomes a need to control, when she fears Daniel's dreams might pull him away. Nietzsche warned of the slave morality, the mindset that seeks power through manipulation, through guilt or need. If Clara uses her charm to bind Daniel, to make him depend on her, she risks falling into this trap, her power turning hollow, her love a cage. The shaper must be free, Nietzsche would murmur, free to create without clinging, to love without owning. Have you ever shaped someone's heart only to fear you've shaped it too tightly? Clara has, and the river sees her struggle. To wield this power, Clara could pause, Nietzsche would suggest, like a breeze holding still. She could ask, what am I creating in this love? Am I lifting us both, or am I binding him to me? She could choose moments to step back, to let Daniel shape their dance too, to let their wills meet as equals. She could reflect on a memory, a night when she held back, let Daniel speak and felt their bond grow stronger, not weaker. Her power lies in her freedom, in her choice to create a love that affirms them both. The moonlight nods, as if to say, shape, Clara, but let the river flow. The river glimmers its surface, a mirror for the stars. Clara thinks of the moments when she stands firm, when her no carries as much weight as her yes. She recalls an evening by the fire, Daniel urging her to move faster, to commit to a future she wasn't ready for. She said no, her voice soft but unyielding, and the air shifted, as if the world held its breath. This is her power, not in yielding, but in choosing, in standing as herself. Nietzsche would call this the sovereign, the second pattern of a woman's power in love. In On the Genealogy of Morality, he spoke of the master morality, the strength to affirm one's will, to say yes to life without bowing to others' demands. Clara's sovereignty is her ability to choose her path in love, to set boundaries, to honor her own desires. When she says no, she's not rejecting Daniel. She's affirming herself, her will to live authentically. This is power, Nietzsche would say, the power of the one who creates her own values, who loves without losing herself. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he wrote of those who stand apart, who shape their lives like stars. Clara, in her no, is a star, shining with her own light. But sovereignty is a delicate art. Nietzsche warned that power can twist into pride, into a need to dominate. If Clara's no becomes a weapon, a way to punish or control, she risks slipping into the slave morality she seeks to rise above. Her power lies in balance, in choosing when to stand firm and when to yield, in loving Daniel as an equal, not a subject. Have you ever said no and felt the world shift? Clara has, and it's a power she's learning to wield. She remembers another moment, a quiet morning when she chose her own pace, and Daniel, instead of pulling away, drew closer, respecting her strength. To embody this power, Clara could reflect. Nietzsche would suggest, like a star gazing at its own light. She could ask, why do I say no? Is it to affirm myself or to wound? She could practice boundaries that honor both her will and Daniel's, creating a love where both are free. She could recall a time when her boundary, a gentle refusal to rush, led to a deeper trust, a moment when Daniel saw her not as an obstacle, but as a partner. Her sovereignty is her crown, Nietzsche would whisper, but it shines brightest when shared. The river song grows clearer, urging Clara to stand tall, to love as a sovereign, not a ruler. The night deepens, the moon climbing higher, its light a quiet hymn. Clara thinks of the way she inspires Daniel, the way her passion, her dreams, her fire seem to kindle something in him. She recalls a night under the stars, her voice alive with stories of places she longs to see. And Daniel's eyes lit up, his own dreams stilling out. There's a power here, one the world might call enchantment, but Nietzsche would see it as the muse, the third pattern of a woman's strength, in love. In The Birth of Tragedy, Nietzsche celebrated the Dionysian spirit, the wild, creative force that breaks through order, that stirs the soul to create. Clara, as the muse, is this force in her love, her laughter, her stories, her unguarded moments awaken Daniel's own will, urging him to dream, to create, to live more fully. This is power, Nietzsche would say, not in commanding, but in igniting, in being the spark that sets another's fire alight. Clara's muse is her will to power, her ability to inspire without forcing, to love by being fully herself. In The Gay Science, Nietzsche wrote of joy as a force that transforms. Clara's joy, her passion, transforms Daniel, making their love a shared creation. But this power can flicker. Nietzsche warned of the slave morality that seeks approval, that gives to be loved. If Clara becomes the muse to please Daniel, to earn his devotion, her power dims, her fire reduced to a shadow. The muse must burn for herself, Nietzsche would murmur, her light a gift, not a plea. Have you ever inspired someone, only to lose your own spark? Clara has, and the river feels her falter. She remembers a time when she pushed her own dreams aside, trying to be what Daniel needed, and felt her light dim, her heart heavy. To wield this power, Clara could breathe, Nietzsche would suggest, like a wind dancing over the water. She could ask, why do I inspire? Is it for me or for him? She could nurture her own passions, letting her fire burn bright, sharing it with Daniel as an act of joy, not duty. She could recall a moment when her own dream, a trip she planned, a story she wrote, lit her soul. And Daniel, seeing her shine, loved her more, not less. Her muse is her art, Nietzsche would whisper, and it shines when it's free. The stars twinkle, as if to say, burn, Clara, and let your light lift you both. The wind stirs, cool and sharp, carrying the scent of earth and pine. Clara thinks of the moments when she chooses silence, when her absence speaks louder than words. She remembers a day when Daniel called, his voice urgent, needing her, but she stayed quiet, needing herself more. Her silence wasn't cold, it was true, and it changed the air between them. There's a power here, one the world might call distant, but Nietzsche would see it as the enigma, the fourth pattern of a woman's strength in love. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche spoke of the eternal recurrence, the idea that life repeats infinitely, each moment a choice to live fully. Clara's enigma is her power to withdraw, to choose when to be present and when to vanish, to let her silence shape their love. When she steps back, when she doesn't answer Daniel's call immediately, she's not punishing, she's affirming her will, her right to exist beyond his gaze. This is power, Nietzsche would say, the power of the one who is whole in herself, who loves without dissolving into another. In Beyond Good and Evil, he wrote of those who are mysteries, who command respect by being themselves. But the enigma is a tightrope. Nietzsche warned that withdrawal can become a game, a way to manipulate through absence. If Clara's silence is a tactic to control Daniel, to make him chase her, she risks falling into the slave morality of neediness disguised as strength. Her power lies in authenticity, in choosing silence because it's true, not because it binds. Have you ever been silent and felt the world lean closer? Clara has, and it's a power she's learning to trust. She recalls another moment, a quiet evening when she chose herself. And Daniel, instead of pulling away, sought her with new respect, seeing her depth. To embody this power, Clara could pause, Nietzsche would suggest, like a star fading into dawn. She could ask, "Why am I silent? Is it my truth or a game?" She could choose moments of absence that honor her soul, returning to Daniel with a love that's free, not forced. She could reflect on a time when her silence, a day spent alone, tending her own heart, brought them closer, their love stronger for her truth. Her enigma is her mystery, Nietzsche would whisper, and it shines when it's real. The river's flow strengthens, urging Clara to be whole, to love as an enigma, not a trap. The river glimmers, its surface a canvas for the night. Clara thinks of the moments when she loves fiercely, when her heart is a fire that burns for Daniel, for herself, for life. She remembers a morning when they danced in the kitchen, her love a wild, unguarded thing, and Daniel joined her, their laughter a shared creation. There's a power here, one the world might call devotion, but Nietzsche would see it as the creator, the fifth pattern of a woman's strength in love. Nietzsche argued that the greatest power is to create, to shape values, to affirm life, to make beauty from chaos. Clara, as the creator, is the architect of her love. Her choices, to forgive Daniel's flaws, to challenge his fears, to dream with him, are acts of creation, building a relationship that reflects her will, her vision. This is power, Nietzsche would say, the power of the one who loves as an artist, who makes love a masterpiece of will and truth. In The Gay Science, he wrote of life as a poem, each moment a chance to create. Clara's love is her poem, her will the pen, her heart the ink. But creation is fragile. Nietzsche warned of the slave morality that clings to safety, that loves to be loved. If Clara creates only to please Daniel, to avoid loss, her power fades, her art reduced to a shadow. The creator must love for herself, Nietzsche would murmur, her will the brush, her heart the canvas. Have you ever loved so fiercely you felt alive? Clara has, and it's a power she's learning to claim. She recalls a time when she chose to forgive, not to keep Daniel, but because it freed her. Her love a creation of strength, not need. To wield this power, Clara could dream, Nietzsche would suggest, like a wind painting the sky. She could ask, what am I building in this love? Is it mine or his? She could choose acts of love that affirm her will, that create a bond where both are free. She could reflect on a moment when her love, a letter she wrote, a dream she shared, built something lasting, something true. Her creator is her legacy, Nietzsche would whisper, and it shines when it's bold. The moonlight glows as if to say, create, Clara, and let your love be art. The night is still, the moon a quiet witness. Clara stands by the river, her heart full, her soul awake. Nietzsche's wisdom, like starlight, lights her way. Her power in love, the shaper, the sovereign, the muse, the enigma, the creator, is not a weapon or a chain. It's her will to power, her drive to affirm, to create, to live fully in the dance of love. Each pattern is a choice, a chance to shape her relationship with Daniel as a work of art, a testament to her strength. Nietzsche would say her power is her Übermensch, her chance to transcend the ordinary, to create values in a world that judges too quickly. In love, Clara is not a queen or a servant. She is a creator, a force, a will that shines under the stars. And the eternal recurrence whispers, live this love as if it will return forever. Each moment a choice to be true, to be powerful, to be you. Have you ever loved and felt the world bend to your will? Clara has, and it's a power she's learning to embrace. Why do you love? What power do you hold? Clara's journey asks us to look within, to see our strength not as control, but as creation. Not as chains, but as freedom. When you choose yourself, when you love fiercely, when you create boldly, everything changes. The world may call you too much, too bold, too free, but Nietzsche would smile and say, you are enough. As Clara turns from the river, the wind at her back, she feels light, like a leaf lifted by the breeze. Nietzsche's voice echoes, soft and sure. Your power is your will, your love a river, your life a star. Shape it, guard it, let it shine, but don't let it fade. Love fiercely, but love truly. Choose a love that lifts you, that flows with you, that lights your way. And now, as you hear this tale, let your breath slow, your eyes grow heavy, the river fades, the moonlight dims, and Nietzsche's words drift like clouds. What is your power? What will you create? Sleep, knowing your will is yours to shape, your light yours to guard. Good night.
At the heart of Jung's psychology lies the concept of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of psychic content that transcends individual experience. Unlike the personal unconscious, which contains repressed memories and experiences unique to the individual, the collective unconscious houses archetypes, universal patterns, images, and instincts that shape human experience across cultures and eras. For Jung, the collective unconscious is not bound by time or space. It is a timeless, infinite field where all human potentials coexist. The video's notion of parallel versions of oneself, each living a different life shaped by alternate choices, resonates with Jung's understanding of the collective unconscious as a domain of infinite possibilities. However, Jung would likely reframe these parallel selves as archetypal potentials or latent aspects of the self, the central archetype representing the totality of the psyche. In Jung's view, the self encompasses all that an individual is and could become, including unrealized potentials, suppressed desires, and higher aspirations. These potentials, though not consciously acknowledged, exist within the collective unconscious and can manifest in symbolic forms through dreams, intuitions, or synchronistic events. For example, the video suggests that in some parallel realities, you might be living your dream life, while in others you face unique challenges. Jung would interpret these alternate lives as symbolic representations of the psyche's multifaceted nature. A parallel self living a life of abundance might symbolize the archetype of the wise old man-woman, or the hero, embodying qualities like wisdom, courage, or fulfillment that the conscious ego has yet to integrate. Conversely, a parallel self facing challenges might reflect the shadow, the unconscious aspect of the psyche containing repressed traits, fears, or unresolved conflicts. Jung would argue that these parallel selves are not external entities existing in separate physical realities, but internal psychic realities seeking recognition. The collective unconscious, as a shared matrix, connects all individuals to these archetypal potentials, allowing the psyche to project them as alternate versions of oneself. When the video speaks of a deep and invisible connection between you and your parallel selves, Jung would agree, but he would locate this connection within the psyche rather than in external dimensions. The signs attributed to parallel selves, déjà vu, synchronicities, dreams, are, in Jungian terms, the psyche's way of bridging the conscious and unconscious, inviting the individual to explore their latent potentials and move toward wholeness. Synchronicity, the language of meaningful coincidences. One of the most compelling signs described in the video is synchronicity, the phenomenon of meaningful coincidences that seem too aligned to be mere chance. For example, repeatedly encountering a specific symbol, number, or word in various contexts, e.g., seeing a logo while contemplating a career change, is presented as a message from a parallel self guiding you toward a particular path. Jung's concept of synchronicity provides a robust framework for understanding these experiences, aligning closely with the video's emphasis on signs, but grounding them in a psychological and metaphysical context. Jung defined synchronicity as the simultaneous occurrence of a certain psychic state with one or more external events which appear as meaningful parallels to the momentary subjective state. In other words, synchronicity occurs when an inner psychological experience, e.g., a thought, feeling, or intuition, coincides with an external event in a way that feels profoundly significant, defying conventional notions of causality. For Jung, synchronicity is evidence of a deeper unity between the psyche and the external world, mediated by the collective unconscious and its archetypes. Applying this to the video's examples, Jung would interpret synchronistic events, like repeatedly encountering a symbol related to a decision, as the psyche's attempt to draw attention to an unconscious insight or potential. For instance, if you are contemplating a career change and begin noticing a specific logo everywhere, Jung might suggest that this logo is an archetypal symbol resonating with your unconscious aspirations. The logo's recurrence is not caused by a parallel self in another reality, but by the psyche's orchestration of external events to mirror an internal process. The collective unconscious, acting as a bridge between the inner and outer worlds, facilitates these coincidences to guide you toward a decision aligned with your deeper purpose. Jung would caution, however, against literalizing these synchronicities as messages from an external parallel self. Instead, he would encourage you to explore their subjective meaning through introspection. What does the symbol evoke in you? What emotions, memories, or desires does it stir? By reflecting on these questions, you can uncover the unconscious content seeking expression, whether it's a suppressed ambition, a fear of change, or a call to embrace a new aspect of yourself. For Jung, synchronicity is not just a sign, but a transformative opportunity, inviting you to align your conscious choices with the wisdom of the unconscious. Dreams, portals to the unconscious and alternate realities. The video highlights vivid dreams and lucid dreaming as key channels through which parallel selves communicate. Dreams that feel real feature unfamiliar yet familiar settings, or depict alternate versions of your life, are presented as glimpses into other realities. Jung's theory of dreams aligns closely with this perspective, as he viewed dreams as the royal road to the unconscious, where the psyche reveals its deepest truths through symbolic imagery. For Jung, dreams are not mere random firings of the brain, but purposeful communications from the unconscious, often compensating for the one-sidedness of conscious attitudes. A dream depicting a version of you living a different life, say, one where you are thriving in a desired career or facing unfamiliar challenges, would be understood as a symbolic representation of unrealized potentials or repressed aspects of the psyche. Jung would argue that these dreams are not literal glimpses into parallel universes, but manifestations of the collective unconscious, where archetypal images and potentials reside. For example, if you dream of living in a serene environment, embodying peace and fulfillment, Jung might interpret this as a vision of the self, the archetype of wholeness, showing you a state of being that is possible but not yet realized in your waking life. Conversely, a dream of struggle or conflict might reflect the shadow, urging you to confront unresolved issues or suppressed traits. In either case, the dream serves a compensatory function, balancing the conscious ego's perspective with insights from the unconscious. The video's mention of lucid dreaming, where you become aware you are dreaming and can control the narrative, would particularly intrigue Jung. He might see lucid dreaming as a form of active imagination, a technique he developed to engage directly with unconscious content. In a lucid dream, you could theoretically dialogue with the parallel self depicted in the dream, asking it questions or exploring its world. For Jung, this would not be a literal interaction with another reality, but a profound encounter with an aspect of your psyche. By engaging with the dream figure, you could uncover its symbolic meaning and integrate its wisdom into your conscious life. To work with dreams in a Jungian way, you would need to record them in detail upon waking, noting the emotions, symbols, and narratives that stand out. Jung would encourage you to amplify these symbols by exploring their personal and archetypal associations. For instance, if you dream of a specific place, what does that place represent to you? Does it evoke a sense of home, freedom, or confinement? By meditating on these questions, you can decode the dream's message and discern how it relates to your current life challenges or aspirations. Déjà vu and feelings of displacement. Liminal moments of the psyche. The video identifies déjà vu and feelings of displacement, moments when you feel out of place or as if you belong to another reality, as signs of communication from a parallel self. Jung would find these phenomena fascinating, as they suggest a temporary dissolution of the boundaries between the conscious and unconscious, creating liminal moments where the psyche's deeper layers become accessible. Déjà vu, the sensation of having lived a moment before, could be interpreted by Jung as a fleeting connection to the collective unconscious. In such moments, the ego momentarily aligns with an archetypal pattern or memory that feels familiar because it is universal, transcending personal experience. For example, walking into a room and feeling you've been there before might reflect an encounter with an archetypal image, a place of significance in the collective psyche, such as the temenos, sacred space, or the cave, symbol of the unconscious. Jung would see déjà vu not as evidence of a parallel reality, but as a sign that the unconscious is surfacing, offering a glimpse of the psyche's timeless nature. Similarly, feelings of displacement, described in the video as moments when your surroundings feel unfamiliar or you sense you should be elsewhere, align with Jung's concept of psychic dissociation. In these moments, the ego may be experiencing a rift with the unconscious, creating a sense of alienation or disconnection. Jung would interpret this as a call to individuation, the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious to achieve wholeness. The feeling of being out of place might indicate that you are resisting an aspect of the self that seeks expression, such as a suppressed talent, a neglected value, or a higher purpose. To engage with these experiences, Jung would recommend practices like journaling, meditation, or active imagination to explore the emotions and images that arise. By asking, "What part of me feels out of place?" or "What is this moment trying to teach me?" you can uncover the unconscious content behind the experience and begin integrating it into your conscious awareness. For Jung, these liminal moments are not disruptions, but invitations to deepen your relationship with the psyche. Intuition and behavioral changes. The voice of the unconscious. The video also cites intuition and sudden behavioral changes as signs that a parallel self is influencing your current reality. Intuition, described as an inner voice guiding you without logical explanation, is presented as a message from a parallel self that has already made a choice you are contemplating. Similarly, adopting new habits or interests without clear reason is seen as a projection of a parallel self's energy into your life. Jung's psychology offers a rich framework for understanding these phenomena as expressions of the unconscious. Jung viewed intuition as one of the 4 psychological functions alongside thinking, feeling, and sensation, describing it as a way of perceiving possibilities and meanings beyond conscious reasoning. In his typology, intuition is closely linked to the unconscious, allowing the psyche to access insights that the ego cannot yet articulate. An intuitive hunch to change careers, explore a new hobby, or make a bold decision might, in Jungian terms, be the voice of the self, guiding you toward a path of greater alignment. Rather than attributing this to a parallel self, Jung would see it as the unconscious compensating for the ego's limitations, urging you to embrace a latent potential. Sudden behavioral changes, such as adopting new habits or interests, could be understood as the emergence of an unconscious archetype into conscious awareness. For example, if you unexpectedly develop a passion for painting, Jung might suggest that the archetype of the creator or artist is asserting itself, seeking expression through your actions. This archetype, though previously dormant, exists within the collective unconscious and can influence your behavior when the psyche deems it necessary for growth. To work with intuition and behavioral changes, Jung would advocate self-observation and amplification. By reflecting on the source of your intuitions, what do they feel like? What images or memories do they evoke? You can discern their unconscious roots. Similarly, exploring new behaviors through journaling or dialogue with the unconscious, e.g. via active imagination, can reveal their archetypal significance. For Jung, these experiences are not random but purposeful, guiding you toward individuation by integrating previously unconscious aspects of the psyche. Individuation, integrating the messages of the psyche. The video frames the process of receiving and acting on signs from parallel selves as a path to personal and spiritual growth, aligning you with your true purpose. This aligns closely with Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming a whole, authentic self by integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. For Jung, the signs described in the video, déjà vu, synchronicities, dreams, intuitions, are not merely messages from alternate realities, but invitations to individuation, urging you to reconcile the ego with the self. Individuation involves confronting and integrating the shadow, repressed or undesirable traits, engaging with the anima animus, the contrasexual aspect of the psyche, and ultimately aligning with the self, the archetype of wholeness. The parallel selves described in the video can be seen as symbolic representations of these psychic components. For example, a parallel self living a fulfilled life might symbolize the self, showing you the potential for wholeness. A parallel self facing challenges might represent the shadow, highlighting traits or conflicts you need to address. A parallel self guiding you through intuition might reflect the anima animus, serving as a mediator between the ego and the unconscious. To integrate these messages, Jung would recommend a combination of introspective practices. 1. Dream analysis. Record and analyze dreams to uncover their symbolic content, using amplification to explore their personal and archetypal meanings. 2. Active imagination. Engage in a dialogue with unconscious figures, e.g., a dream character or intuitive voice, to understand their significance and integrate their insights. 3. Journaling. Reflect on synchronicities, intuitions, and feelings of displacement, asking how they relate to your current challenges or aspirations. 4. Meditation. Cultivate a state of inner stillness to connect with the unconscious and discern its guidance. 5. Self-observation. Monitor your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to identify patterns that may reflect unconscious influences. By engaging in these practices, you can translate the psyche's messages into conscious actions, aligning your life with the self's wisdom. For Jung, this is not about escaping to a parallel reality, but about transforming your current reality by embracing the fullness of your psyche. The role of quantum physics and spirituality. The video draws on quantum physics to support the idea of parallel realities, citing concepts like quantum superposition and the multiverse. It suggests that all possible realities exist simultaneously, and consciousness selects which reality to experience. While Jung was not a physicist, he was deeply interested in the intersections of science, psychology, and spirituality, particularly in how they illuminate the nature of consciousness and reality. Jung's collaboration with physicist Wolfgang Pauli led to his development of synchronicity, which he saw as a principle of a causal connection bridging the psychic and physical worlds. He might find the video's reference to quantum physics intriguing, as it echoes his belief in a deeper unity underlying reality. However, Jung would likely prioritize the psychological implications of these ideas over their physical or cosmological ones. For him, the parallel realities suggested by quantum physics might serve as a metaphor for the psyche's infinite potentials, accessible through the collective unconscious. From a spiritual perspective, Jung was open to mystical and esoteric traditions, believing that the psyche has a transcendent dimension. The video's emphasis on vibrational alignment, gratitude, and meditation aligns with Jung's view that spiritual practices can facilitate psychological growth. However, he would caution against externalizing these practices as a means of connecting with literal parallel selves. Instead, he would see them as tools for attuning to the unconscious, raising consciousness, and fostering individuation. Practical steps for engaging with the psyche's messages. To apply Jung's perspective to the video's framework, here are practical steps for engaging with the signs attributed to parallel selves, reinterpreted as messages from the unconscious. 1. Cultivate self-awareness. Practice daily self-observation to notice synchronicities, intuitions, and feelings of displacement. Keep a journal to record these experiences and reflect on their emotional and symbolic significance. 2. Analyze dreams. Record dreams immediately upon waking, noting vivid details, emotions, and symbols. Use amplification to explore their meanings, asking, "What does this symbol represent to me? How does it relate to my life?" 3. Practice active imagination. In a meditative state, visualize a dream figure, intuitive voice, or synchronistic symbol, and engage in a dialogue. Ask, "What are you trying to tell me? How can I integrate your wisdom?" 4. Explore synchronicities. When you notice a meaningful coincidence, pause to reflect on its context. What were you thinking or feeling at the time? How might this event mirror an unconscious process? 5. Meditate on the self. Use meditation to connect with the archetype of the self, visualizing yourself as whole, balanced, and aligned. This can help you attune to the psyche's higher potentials. 6. Integrate insights. Translate the psyche's messages into concrete actions, such as pursuing a new goal, confronting a fear, or embracing a suppressed talent. Each step toward integration brings you closer to individuation. Conclusion: a journey toward wholeness. From a Jungian perspective, the idea that a parallel version of you is sending messages is a powerful metaphor for the psyche's attempt to communicate its deeper truths. The signs described in the video, déjà vu, synchronicities, dreams, intuitions, and feelings of displacement, are not evidence of alternate physical realities, but expressions of the collective unconscious, guiding you toward individuation. By interpreting these signs through dream analysis, active imagination, and self-reflection, you can uncover their symbolic meanings and integrate their wisdom into your conscious life. Jung would view this process as a sacred journey, not toward an external parallel reality, but toward the realization of the self, the archetype of wholeness. Each sign, each message, is an invitation to embrace the fullness of your psyche, reconciling its light and shadow, conscious and unconscious. In doing so, you not only transform your current reality, but also align with the infinite potentials within you, creating a life that reflects your deepest essence. This Jungian reinterpretation honors the video's transformative message while grounding it in the rich terrain of depth psychology. By engaging with the unconscious, you become the alchemist of your own soul, turning the raw material of signs and synchronicities into the gold of self-realization. As Jung himself wrote, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Are you free? Think carefully before you answer. Really let that question sink in. You wake up, and what's the first thing you do? Your hand finds your phone, almost like it's an extension of you, scrolling through the screen in search of something, anything, to jolt your mind awake, to pull it away from the quiet of the morning. Maybe it's a coffee, that warm rush of dopamine as you sip while watching a snappy video, or a song pulsing through your earbuds to drown out the monotony of your commute to work or school. The day rolls on, and you keep consuming. Podcasts filling your ears with chatter, social media flashing endless updates, notifications pinging like a needy friend who won't let you breathe. And then, when you finally trip into a rare moment of silence, maybe waiting for a bus or sitting alone at lunch, what happens? A strange discomfort creeps up, an itch in your soul, an emptiness that feels almost alive, pushing you to reach for yet another distraction, another hit of immediate pleasure. Let's be clear, the problem isn't pleasure itself. Pleasure's woven into us, a natural thread in the human tapestry, an evolutionary whisper urging us toward food, connection, survival. But what happens when that whisper turns into a shout, drowning out everything else? Carl Jung, the Swiss sage who mapped the wild terrain of the psyche, would tell you that your soul isn't just a pleasure-chasing machine. It's a vast, untamed landscape of light and shadow, yearning not just to feel good, but to become whole through a process he called self-awareness or individuation. When you're swept up in the storm of instant gratification, doom scrolling, binge watching, liking, swiping, you might be tuning out a deeper call from the unconscious, that mysterious undercurrent where your truest meaning and growth lie buried, waiting to be unearthed. Jung saw modern society with its obsession over shiny, shallow comforts as a barricade keeping us from facing what he called the shadow, those messy, hidden parts of ourselves we'd rather shove under the rug. Aldous Huxley, in his haunting Brave New World, gave us a glimpse of this too. A world where control doesn't come from chains or guns, but from pleasure, so relentless it numbs you into submission. A vision, Jung might say, cheats us out of the hard-won journey to wholeness. Huxley pictured a society where people adored their servitude, so drowned in delightful distractions that the idea of rebellion felt as foreign as a forgotten dream. Take a good look around. A culture addicted to entertainment, gorging on pleasure like it's a bottomless buffet, sprinting away from any whiff of discomfort. But what's the toll? Is this mad dash for instant happiness lifting you up, or chaining you to a treadmill of meaninglessness? In this audiobook, we're going to peel back the layers of how modern life, seen through Jung's piercing gaze, trains us to flee our shadow, turning pleasure from a gift into a cage. When you dodge the deeper corners of your soul, you might just be crafting yourself into a willing slave, not to a tyrant, but to your own unchecked impulses. A stranger drifting further from who you could be. If you're sitting there thinking you've got your mind on a leash, stick with me, because by the end you might realize that leash has been slipping through your fingers all along. Pleasure as a mask. Perfect slavery doesn't need chains or threats, it only needs pleasure. Subtle and seductive. When pleasure takes the driver's seat in your life, servitude slips on a mask and calls itself freedom. Jung would insist this isn't just some external game society's playing. It's a crisis brewing deep within you. In Brave New World, Huxley spun a tale of a world where people were molded from the cradle to sidestep anything remotely uncomfortable, popping soma, a perfect little pill, to hush every doubt, every pang of sadness. Jung, though, would lean in and ask, what happens to your soul when you keep slamming the door on its pain? What are you losing when you refuse to sit with it, to listen? Let's bring this home. Picture your day. You're bored, maybe restless after a long meeting or a dull class, and that familiar itch starts. Or maybe you're lonely, the kind that gnaws quietly, and you don't even notice it's there until it's loud. What do? Do you stop, breathe, and let yourself feel it? Really feel it? Or do you scramble for the nearest escape hatch? Social media's right there, a kaleidoscope of other people's lives to drown out your own. Or maybe it's food, a quick sugar rush to soothe the edges, or a drink to blur them. Perhaps it's a TV series, hours vanishing into someone else's story so you don't have to face yours. We're living in the golden age of instant gratification. Every crack in your piece can be patched with a swipe, a click, a tap. But here's the rub. This isn't freedom, it's running away. Jung called facing those murky, uncomfortable bits of yourself the work of the shadow. And when you keep sprinting from it, you're not just disconnecting from the unconscious, you're abandoning the chance to stitch yourself into something whole. Imagine Huxley and Jung sitting across a table, hashing this out. Huxley points to soma, this miracle drug that smothers awareness, and Jung nods, seeing it as a stand-in for ducking the unconscious altogether. In our reality, soma's not a pill you swallow. It's the buzz of a notification pulling you out of a quiet moment. The endless reel of bite-sized videos that leave no room for thought. The empty applause of likes and retweets that feel good until they don't. No one's got a gun to your head saying, scroll, consume, repeat. But are you really choosing this? Or has it been drilled into you? Day after day, ping after ping, until needing it feels as natural as breathing. The training of the unconscious. Why is it so damn hard to stop? Let's unpack that. You know you should be doing something else, writing that essay, calling a friend, just sitting with your thoughts, but your hand slides to your phone anyway, like it's got a mind of its own. Jung would say this isn't some fluke. It's a red flag of a soul out of whack. Modern society isn't built to nudge you inward. Think about it. School taught you to memorize dates and formulas, not to wrestle with big questions. Work rewards you for cranking out results, not for staring out the window and wondering why you're here. And the entertainment machine? It's a fire hose of distractions. Movies, memes, trending hashtags, making sure you never have to sit still long enough to hear yourself think. In Brave New World, Huxley's people were brainwashed through hypnopedia, slogans murmured in their sleep until they were gospel. Jung might squint at our world and see something eerily similar. Algorithms feeding you just what you want, ads slipping into your psyche, a flood of info so constant you don't notice it's shaping you. Every buzz, every like, hands you a little dopamine cookie, whispering that happiness is staying busy, staying plugged in, steering clear of anything that feels too heavy. But what's the trade-off? When you can't stand a quiet room with just your own head for company, you're cut off from the unconscious. That deep, swirling pool of symbols, dreams, and truths that Jung said leads you to wholeness. Jung was adamant. The soul hungers for balance, conscious and unconscious, joy and pain, noise and silence. Shut out the pain, and you're slamming the door on growth too. Picture a muscle. If you never lift anything heavy, it atrophies. Same goes for your psyche. Dodge discomfort, and it wilts. A society that can't stomach silence, that freaks out at the first hint of boredom or unease, isn't strong. It's brittle, ripe for the picking. Not by some cartoonish dictator twirling a mustache, but by its own desperate need for the next shiny thing to keep the quiet at bay. Fake happiness and fragility. Imagine a world where suffering's gone. Poof, wiped out the second it shows up. Sounds like heaven, doesn't it? No sadness, no frustration, just smooth sailing forever. But Jung would step in here, voice low and serious, and warn you. That's a mirage, and a dangerous one. A soul that never tangles with hardship doesn't toughen up. It stays soft, brittle, unable to bend without breaking. In Brave New World, soma was the golden ticket to that fake paradise, washing away any ripple of discontent. But it came at a price. It hollowed out what makes us human. Look at our world. We've got our own somas, slick and modern. Social media tossing you instant pats on the back. Dating apps promising love without the sting of a no. Algorithms that know you better than you know yourself. Serving up exactly what you want before you even ask. It's all engineered to sand down life's rough edges, to kill the gaps where effort or unease might sneak in. But here's the brutal truth. When you never face pain, you don't build grit. Jung said growing up, really growing, means wrestling with the shadow, those buried pieces of you that scare or shame you. Keep chasing pleasure alone, and you're stuck as a sketch of yourself, swaying in the wind of whatever the world throws your way. Take a step back. When was the last time you let yourself feel something hard? Really feel it, without reaching for a quick fix. If that's rare, maybe you're already in this trap, fragile, not because you're weak, but because you've been trained to dodge the weights that would make you strong. Pleasure or meaning? What are you chasing in this wild ride of life? Happiness or meaning? Let's dig into that. Society's got us on a leash, barking that happiness is the big prize. Smiles, comfort, a life where nothing stings too long. But Jung would lean back, light his pipe, and call that a half-baked lie. Pleasure's fine, those likes racking up, that impulsive online order landing at your door, those late-night episodes you can't stop watching. It's a quick spark, a flash of yes in your brain, but it fades fast, leaving you hollow, pawing for the next hit. Jung would say that's not what your soul's built for. He'd point you to individuation instead. This winding, messy trek to become your truest self by facing down the opposites inside you. Light and shadow, joy and pain, the stuff you show the world and the stuff you hide. Viktor Frankl, a kindred spirit to Jung, scribbled in man's search for meaning that purpose is what drags us through hell and back. Jung would nod along. Pleasure as your only North Star makes you frail. It's like feeding a kid nothing but candy. They'll bounce around happy for a bit, then crash, needy and lost. Meaning or individuation is a slower burn. It's grit and patience, staring into the mirror of your own chaos and not blinking. It doesn't hand you a cushy pillow of instant relief, but it builds something solid. Freedom from chasing shallow highs, a bedrock sense of who you are that doesn't crumble when the likes dry up. But here's the catch. Society doesn't cheer for this. Meaning's a slog. It demands quiet, time, a stubborn no to the candy store of instant fun. Every swipe on a reel, every peek at a notification, is he handing over your attention to a machine that thrives on keeping you hooked. Jung might call it the ego drowning in the collective unconscious. You're not you anymore, just a speck in the herd, tugged along by the myths and lures society spins. Someone who finds meaning, though? They're a different beast. They don't need to jam every second with noise. They can sit in the stillness, face to face with themselves, no panic, no flight. That's why this path rattles the system. A person anchored in meaning isn't a puppet. You can't yank their strings with cheap thrills or shiny bribes. They're a force, a soul synced with its own rhythm, untouchable by the outside hustle. Jung saw this as the pinnacle of being human, not dodging pain to stay comfy, but embracing the whole messy sprawl of your psyche. It's not a sprint to the shallow end, it's a dive into the deep, where real freedom swims. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Was it a quick laugh at a meme, or that hard-won moment when you pushed through something tough and found a piece of yourself on the other side? Breaking the cycle. So how do you bust out of this trap? It's not simple, but it's possible. Jung would say it kicks off with a spark inside, a reckoning with yourself. Step 1. Try conscious withdrawal. No, this isn't about swearing off joy or locking yourself in a cave. It's about dialing back the addictive stuff, social media marathons, junk food binges, streaming till your eyes blur. Pull the plug for a bit and watch what happens. Your mind starts to reset. The small stuff. A sunrise you actually notice, a chat that's not rushed, gets vivid again, no fake jolts needed. Jung would see this as tuning into the unconscious, where dreams, gut feelings, and those weird little symbols that pop into your head start whispering clues to who you really are. Step 2. Toughen up for discomfort. Jung didn't mince words. The shadow's not your enemy. It's you, begging to be seen. Try this. Sit still, no music, just you and the air. At first, it's torture. Your brain, hooked on dopamine candy, will scream for a fix like a toddler mid-tantrum. Stick with it and something shifts. You realize the quiet doesn't kill you, it sharpens you. Jung said these clashes with pain or emptiness are where the soul stretches, where you start knitting those lost pieces back into the fabric of yourself. Ever notice how the best stories, yours or anyone's, come from the rough patches, not the easy ones? Step 3. Fire up your critical mind. Jung's key to dodging the collective unconscious's undertow. Start asking, why do I crave this non-stop distraction? Who's cashing in on my addiction to quick hits? What could I build? Dreams, skills, connections, if I weren't chained to this loop? These aren't just brain teasers, they're crowbars prying open the box you've been stuffed in, letting you peek at your real ego. Not the one ads and apps sculpted, but the raw, one-of-a-kind you that's been there all along. Finally, swap pleasure for meaning. Jung's individuation road. Dig deep. What lights you up? Not for a minute, but for a lifetime. Maybe it's pouring yourself into a friendship that cuts past small talk, or hammering away at a project that's all yours. Art, words, a cause. Maybe it's leaving a dent in the world that screams your name long after you're gone. Jung would say, meaning's not a gift-wrapped package. It's a treasure hunt through the unconscious, pieced together from dreams, those late-night epiphanies, the hush when you finally listen to that voice inside. It's a haul, sometimes a slog, but the payoff? Freedom. Not running from life's thorns, but walking through them with a spine of steel, every part of your soul humming in sync. Here's a kicker. This isn't instant. The world's stacked against you. Ads, trends, that friend who thinks you're weird for unplugging. But every step you take is a brick in a wall no one can tear down. Ever met someone who's got that quiet strength, who doesn't flinch at the chaos? That's what you're building toward. Your choice. You've seen the trap now. Pleasure's not freedom. It's a leash yanking you from yourself. Jung would tell you real freedom isn't dodging the hard stuff. It's facing it head on, weaving the shadow into your story, living loud and true to the potential only you carry. But this isn't a stroll in the park. It's swimming upstream in a river of noise and numbness, a society hooked on distraction and drowning in its own excess. Step onto this path, and you'll feel the pushback, inside and out. Change starts and the world shifts around you. Some folks will watch you with awe, admiring how you shrug off the easy bait they're still biting. Others, they'll squirm, pull away, maybe even get prickly. Jung would nod knowingly. When you wrestle your shadow, you turn into a mirror, shining back what they're too scared to face. Your freedom's a spotlight on their chains, that cozy lie that life's good enough if it's fun and painless. They might tug you back, tossing out lines like, chill out, it's not that deep, or why make it hard when you can just enjoy? But you've peeked behind the curtain. Pleasure without meaning is slavery with better branding. So where do you plant your flag? Keep drifting, chasing dopamine crumbs, plastering over that gnawing hole inside with louder music and brighter screens. Or do you rise up, claw back your mind, carve out a purpose, and turn into someone no hollow promise can sway? Jung believed every one of us has a seed of wholeness buried deep. but it takes guts to water it, to let it crack through the concrete of habit and fear. Let's get real. Have you ever felt that trap snap shut, caught in the scroll, the snacks, the noise, knowing it's not enough? Do you catch how society dangles pleasure like a carrot to keep you from asking the big, messy questions? Who am I? Why am I here? Drop your story in the comments. Jung would say every question, every shared spark is a step out of the collective fog. If this ride's cracked open a new lens on your world, hit subscribe. Stick around as we chase the trails to self-awareness and the kind of freedom that doesn't fade with the next buzz. This isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for a conversation with the deepest parts of you. Welcome to a journey into the depths of your mind and body, where energy isn't just a buzzword. It's the very force that shapes who you are and how you live. Today, we're diving into the wisdom of Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers in psychology, to explore how you can control energy to awaken your hidden potential. This isn't about quick fixes or new age fluff. It's about understanding the power within your psyche and body, guided by Jung's profound insights into the human soul. So, settle in, maybe grab a notebook, and let's unlock the secrets of energy together. What is energy according to Jung? Let's start with a question. What do you think of when you hear energy? Maybe it's the buzz you feel after a good workout or the spark of inspiration during a creative moment. For Carl Jung, energy was something deeper, a psychic energy, a life force he called libido. Now, don't confuse this with Freud's idea of libido as just sexual desire. Jung saw libido as the fuel for everything your mind does. Your thoughts, emotions, dreams, even your spiritual yearnings. Picture your psyche as a river. This psychic energy flows through it, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. It's what makes you feel alive, driven, or stuck. Jung believed this energy isn't just in your head, it's in your body too. Ever felt your heart race when you're angry, or your shoulders relax when you're at peace? That's psychic energy moving through you, connecting your mind and body in ways you might not even notice. But here's the kicker. You're not just a lone river. Jung said your psyche taps into a vast ocean, the collective unconscious, a shared pool of human experience filled with universal patterns called archetypes. Think of archetypes like the hero, the wise elder, or the shadow, templates that shape how we think and act across cultures and time. This collective unconscious is like a cosmic energy field, linking you to everyone and everything. So controlling energy, in Jung's view, isn't about forcing things to happen. It's about guiding the psychic energy to flow smoothly, aligning your personal river with the ocean of the collective unconscious. When you do that, you awaken the potential locked in your body and soul. Let's explore how. The psyche's energy map, ego, shadow, and self. To control energy, you need to know where it's flowing or where it's stuck. Jung mapped the psyche into 3 key parts: the ego, the shadow, and the self. The ego is your conscious self, the you that makes decisions, plans your day, and thinks, "I've got this." It's like the captain of a ship steering your psychic energy toward practical goals. But the ego only sees part of the picture. Beneath it lies the shadow, the unconscious part of you that holds everything you've pushed away, your fears, insecurities, or traits you don't want to admit, like jealousy or anger. The shadow isn't bad, it's just hidden, and it's packed with raw energy. Then there's the self, the deepest part of your psyche. The self is your true essence, a blend of conscious and unconscious, personal and universal. Jung saw it as a guiding star, like a compass for your soul. The self connects you to the collective unconscious, channeling energy from that cosmic ocean into your life. Here's why this matters. Your psychic energy can get trapped. If your ego ignores the shadow, say by bottling up anger, that energy doesn't disappear. It festers, showing up as stress, tension, or even physical pain. Jung believed that controlling energy means freeing these blockages, letting the ego and shadow work together under the self's guidance. When that happens, your body comes alive, buzzing with vitality and purpose. The shadow, your energy's hidden power. Let's zoom in on the shadow, because it's a gold mine of untapped energy. Imagine you're at a party and someone makes a snide comment. Your ego smiles politely, but deep down, you're furious. That anger doesn't vanish. It sinks into your shadow, tying up energy in knots. Over time, those knots drain you, maybe as a tight jaw or a restless night. Jung taught that the shadow holds not just negative stuff, but also hidden strengths. Maybe you've suppressed your creativity because you were told it's impractical, or your boldness because it felt too much. That's energy locked away, waiting to be reclaimed. So how do you free it? Jung's go-to method was dream analysis. Dreams are like messages from your unconscious, often starring shadow figures, a bully, a stranger, or even a monster. Let's say you dream of being chased. That pursuer might be your shadow, urging you to face a fear you've ignored. By journaling your dreams and asking, "What's this figure trying to tell me?" you start to unlock the energy trapped in that fear. Another tool is active imagination. Picture a shadow figure from your dream, say that bully. In your mind, sit down with them and ask, "What do you want?" Let the conversation flow, no judgment. It sounds woo-woo, but Jung found it powerful for turning shadow energy into insight. Maybe that bully reveals your suppressed need to stand up for yourself. Suddenly, that energy fuels confidence instead of fear. Your body is key here. Shadow energy often shows up as physical clues, tight shoulders, a racing pulse. Jung noticed that emotions and body are linked, so pay attention. Try a body scan, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and notice where you feel tension. Ask that tension, "What's your story?" You might be surprised what bubbles up, a memory, an emotion, or a burst of energy ready to move. Individuation, the art of channeling energy. Controlling energy isn't about quick tricks. It's a lifelong journey Jung called individuation. Think of individuation as becoming your truest self, not just the ego's version, but the whole package, shadow and all, guided by the self. It's like tuning a radio to pick up the universe's signal, letting psychic energy flow freely. Individuation is about balance. Your ego wants control, but the unconscious has its own wisdom. Ignore it, and you get stuck, maybe in a job that drains you or a relationship that feels off. Jung saw this as energy misdirected, like a river dammed up. The goal is to let it flow toward growth, creativity, and connection. One way to do this is through symbolic work. Jung loved symbols, especially mandalas, circular designs that represent the self. Try drawing a mandala when you feel scattered. Don't overthink it, just let your hand move, picking colors and shapes that feel right. The act focuses your energy, calming your body and mind. Jung found that mandalas often appear in dreams during big life changes, signaling the psyche's push toward wholeness. Another practice is engaging with myths. Archetypes like the hero or the wise elder live in stories, and they're energy patterns you can tap into. Read a myth that resonates, maybe the Odyssey or a fairy tale, and ask, how is this archetype showing up in my life? If you're facing a challenge, channel the hero's courage. Feel it in your body. Stand taller. Breathe deeper. That's psychic energy at work. Individuation isn't easy. The shadow fights back and the ego hates giving up control. You might feel resistance, doubt, fatigue, or even physical aches. Jung said this is normal. It's the psyche stretching. Keep going, but go slow. The body will tell you when you're aligned, maybe with a sense of lightness or a surge of energy. Synchronicity, energy beyond the self. Here's where things get wild. Jung believed psychic energy doesn't stop at your skin. It connects you to the universe through synchronicity. Those meaningful coincidences that feel too perfect to be random. Ever thought of someone and they called you? That's synchronicity. A moment where your inner energy aligns with the outer world. Jung called this a causal connecting principle, meaning it defies normal cause and effect. He saw synchronicity as proof that psyche and matter are part of one reality, what he called the unus mundus, or one world. Controlling energy, then, isn't just about your mind or body, it's about dancing with the cosmos. How do you tap into this? Start by opening to the unconscious. Dreams and active imagination make you more receptive to synchronicity. Let's say you're wrestling with a decision and you dream of a door. The next day, you stumble on a book about new beginnings. That's not just luck, it's your psychic energy resonating with the world. Your body often senses synchronicity first, a gut feeling, a shiver. Jung noticed patients felt physical shifts during synchronistic moments, like their energy was tuning to a bigger frequency. To amplify this, try a simple practice. Before bed, set an intention, like, show me a sign about my next step. Write down any dreams or coincidences the next day. Over time, you'll notice patterns and your energy will feel more connected to the universe. But here's Jung's warning. Don't try to force synchronicity. The ego loves to play puppet master, but synchronicity happens when you let go. It's like catching fireflies. You can't grab them, but you can create the conditions for them to appear. The body, your energy's home. Jung saw the body as more than flesh and bone. It's the psyche's home, where energy lives and breathes. Psychic energy shows up as physical sensations, joy as a warm chest, fear as a tight throat. Controlling energy means listening to your body because it's always talking. Think about stress. Your mind might say, I'm fine, but your body disagrees, maybe with a headache or clenched fists. Jung worked with psychosomatic symptoms, believing they were the unconscious screaming for attention. To control energy, start with your body. Try this. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and scan from head to toe. Where's the tension? Where's the ease? Don't judge, just notice. Then ask that sensation, what do you need? Maybe it's rest, movement, or a memory to face. Jung also loved practices that unite body and psyche, like yoga or dance. He studied Eastern traditions and saw how they channel energy through breath and movement. Try a slow stretch, focusing on your breath. Feel the energy shift, maybe a tingle in your arms or a release in your back. That's your psyche and body syncing up, awakening potential you didn't know you had. The body also holds archetypal energy. The hero might make you feel strong, the mother nurturing. When you tap into these, your body responds, your posture shifts, your breath deepens. Jung would say this is the self at work, guiding your energy toward wholeness. Challenges. The psyche's pushback. Jung wasn't one for rosy promises. Controlling energy is hard work, and the psyche doesn't always play nice. Here are some hurdles you might face. Ego inflation. The ego loves feeling powerful, but Jung warned that trying to master energy can make you arrogant. You might think you're above your shadow, only to have it trip you up, maybe as a reckless decision or a health issue. Stay humble. The unconscious is bigger than you. Shadow resistance. Facing the shadow is like opening a dusty attic. Stuff comes flying out. You might feel overwhelmed, angry, or drained. Jung said this is part of individuation, but it's not a solo job. A therapist or journal can help you navigate. Spiritual disconnect. Jung believed energy control needs a spiritual anchor, art, myth, or faith. Without it, you're just tinkering with mechanics, missing the bigger picture. If you feel empty, explore a symbol or story that sparks awe. Your unique path. Everyone's psyche is different. What works for your friend might flop for you. Jung stressed individuation is personal, so listen to your dreams and body, not a one-size-fits-all guide. These challenges aren't roadblocks, they're signposts. Your body will signal when you're off track, maybe with fatigue or unease. Trust it and adjust. How to start. Practical Jungian tools. Ready to control your energy? Here are 5 Jungian practices to awaken your body's potential. You don't need fancy tools, just curiosity and patience. 1. Dream journal. Every morning, write down your dreams, even fragments. Note symbols, emotions, and how your body felt. Ask, what energy is this dream showing me? If you dream of a storm, maybe it's pent-up anger. Over weeks, patterns emerge, guiding your energy flow. 2. Active imagination. Pick a dream image or bodily sensation, like a tight chest. Close your eyes, picture it as a character, and talk to it. Ask, what are you here for? Let the answers come naturally. This turns stuck energy into insight, and your body will feel the shift. 3. Mandala drawing. Grab paper and colors and draw a circle. Fill it with shapes and hues that feel right. Don't plan, just let it flow. This focuses your energy, and the act of drawing grounds it in your body. Jung drew mandalas during tough times. They're like a hug from the self. 4. Mythic connection. Pick a myth or story that grabs you, maybe a folk tale or epic. Read it, then journal. How is this archetype in my life? If it's the hero, channel their courage in a challenge. Feel it physically. Stand tall, breathe deep. Your body will amplify the energy. 5. Body listening. Once a day, do a body scan. Lie down, breathe slowly, and notice sensations. Ask tense spots, what's your message? Maybe it's a memory or a need. This connects psyche and body, freeing energy for vitality. Start small, 5 minutes a day. Consistency matters more than intensity. Your body will tell you when you're on the right path, maybe with a sense of calm or a spark of joy. We've journeyed through Carl Jung's world, where energy isn't just power, it's the pulse of your psyche, connecting you to your body, your shadow, and the universe. Controlling energy isn't about forcing things. It's about listening to your dreams, feeling your body, and aligning with the self. Jung's wisdom shows us that the potential in your body is vast, waiting to be awakened through courage, curiosity, and a touch of wonder. So what's your next step? Maybe it's jotting down tonight's dream, sketching a mandala, or just noticing your breath. Whatever you choose, trust your psyche. It's been guiding you all along. If this resonated, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mind and soul. Until next time, keep exploring the energy within you.